Hey everyone, and welcome to this third and fourth stimulus check update. And in today's video, we got some big news if you are an SSI and SSDI waiting for that third stimulus check that's been in the works for quite some time. So I have some new information about how many of those were actually sent out and when the remaining payments will finally be sent out. And of course, we're gonna begin talking about this fourth stimulus check package, or this fourth stimulus package known as the Build Back Better plan, the fourth stimulus package that Joe Biden and his administration has been putting together for actually quite some time now. They're going to release more details on it. So they're gonna be discussing more details on it, and we're gonna talk about a couple of things that will probably be included in it. Hey everyone, my name is Randy and welcome back to the Late Night Grind. And on this YouTube channel right now, I'm talking about these third and fourth stimulus package updates, talking about everything that's going on in Washington revolving around these stimulus packages, stimulus checks, and how much you guys could actually see. So if you're new to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Don't forget to tap that bell notification icon. That way YouTube will notify you when I release a new video, and I do that when I get new information. And if you want to support the channel, the best thing you can do besides subscribing is actually hitting that thumbs up button. If you do that, I greatly appreciate it. All right guys, well let's get into it. So first, the IRS has now made some statements on the payments to those on SSI and SSDI. This has been in the news for quite some time now, and all kinds of stories have been written about it as to why there have been such big delays into those on SSI and SSDI having to wait so long to get their $1,400 stimulus checks. And now the Social Security Administration has also made a statement. So the IRS basically came out and said, well, actually a lot of people on SSI and SSDI have been getting their stimulus checks. They didn't say how many have received them or how many have yet to receive them, but they did make mention that, well, there's been a lot of people in the first two waves of stimulus checks that were on SSI and SSDI that have already gotten them. Then the good news came out from the SSA just the other day that said, in a statement in which they basically said they're planning on the final wave of stimulus checks for those on Social Security to be sent out in this final wave, which will most likely be on March 31st. So how it actually worked was the first couple of waves of stimulus payments that went out, whether it was direct deposits or for checks, basically went out once per week in these waves, they called them. So we have one more wave coming through, this third payment that the SSA said this is their final batch, or should be their final batch of stimulus payments. So as of right now, we're looking at the 31st being that final payment date for those on SSI to actually get their payments. Now, it might not be a direct deposit, it may be an actual check. They said they've actually been sending out paper checks as well as these new debit cards in the mail for the last week or two to those on SSI and SSDI. And from some of the comments that I've seen in my videos, as well as some other people's videos, I can see that some of those on Social Security have received those payments, but clearly there's still a lot of people, in fact tens of millions of people, on Social Security that have yet to receive those payments. The number that I saw was out of the about 65 to 70 million people on Social Security, that there are still about 30 or just under 30 million people that have not yet received their payments. And once again, they've told us the best thing that you can do is go to the irs.gov website and use the non-filers tool. They said that those who have already gone through that process and used the non-filers tool, or have sent in their 2019 or 2020 taxes, have most likely already received their stimulus checks. But those on Social Security that don't file taxes, they have to use that non-filers tool in order to get on that last wave. Now, the Social Security Administration came out and basically said, well, part of the reason they've been delaying sending these files to the IRS so that they can send out the payments is because they haven't had enough staff. Now, I'm not sure how many people buy that or what's going on with that, but that was the reason that they gave as to why there was so much of a delay in getting all of these files or the information about those on the Social Security list over to the IRS. But nonetheless, it looks like the final payments are going to be going out soon, so I would expect them over the next week or two, especially if they're coming through the mail. Check your mailbox every single day. And not only that, go ahead and go to the irs.gov website and use the Get My Payment portal to see the status. Even if it says there is no status or there's no information available, from what we've been seeing, there are a lot of people who have actually done that and it says no information available, and they've already received their stimulus check. whether it was a direct deposit or a paper check through the mail. So go ahead and check, just see if there's any updates available. And finally, we're going to talk about this fourth stimulus package that's kind of been rumored, and it's in the media now. It's kind of receiving more buzz as more people are now talking about it. And that is because there are now a total of 64 lawmakers that are on board with monthly recurring stimulus checks. And a lot of them hope to use this fourth stimulus package to get that included or get that kickstarted. Now, we've seen back in January when the third stimulus check package was just rolling out, there was an awful lot of House of Representatives, more so on the Democratic side, that were pushing for $2,000 per month stimulus checks. In fact, 50 of them signed on to a letter that was written to Joe Biden and the Biden administration urging that. It was too little too late at the time, and it would have never passed anyway. However, now there's even more lawmakers on board with it. There are as many as 12 senators, including the 50 House of Representatives lawmakers that are pushing for these monthly stimulus checks. So here's some information on what's probably going to come out on this new Build Back Better plan, the fourth stimulus plan. I've read a few different things. Some of them kind of go against each other, but we're going to see what happens. Number one, we're going to talk about the totals. I actually saw one place, it was a Wikipedia article based on an article that was written last November. And that said that this Build Back Better plan was going to cost somewhere in the neighborhood of $7 trillion. I don't think it would be that big. I don't think that would pass pretty much any administration. I think that's too much. However, I have seen $2 to $4 trillion as another number. And as we just passed a $2 trillion stimulus package, another $2 trillion isn't out of the realm of possibility. Now, of course, there's always a number of factors. Number one, you're going to have to get some bipartisan support from Republicans, and that's always going to be a very, very difficult thing. And number two is if you can't get any support, you're going to have to go the reconciliation route, which is what they did on this last stimulus plan. But in order to do that, they can only use that one more time this year, and they would most likely have to wait until October. So what's that going to include for stimulus checks? Well, the proposal right now to have included in this stimulus plan would be another one-time payment of $2,000 per person, but then $1,000 per person on a monthly basis for up to 12 months, so as to make sure people are fully covered through the effects of the pandemic. So even though we just passed a $1.9 trillion economic spending plan called the American Rescue Plan, apparently, according to a bunch of lawmakers, America still needs rescued. And finally, if you're a member of this community and you've been subscribed to my channel for some time, you've probably seen some of the polls and some of the questions that I put up on the community tab on my channel. Well, I just put up another one. Now that most of these stimulus checks have gone out, the majority of Americans have gotten these stimulus checks, and some have even had several weeks to actually go ahead and spend them. I put out a question asking what you guys are spending or have spent your stimulus checks on. Let me know in the comments below, as well as on that poll. That would be really cool to see. I've been asking that question basically since I started covering this stimulus, so it'd be very, very interesting to see that. In fact, some financial advisors are now telling us not to invest this stimulus check, but I'm really curious if you guys are actually taking some of this money and actually putting it away for a rainy day or investing it into something like the stock market or cryptocurrencies in order to try and grow this money. But I'd really like to find out what you guys plan on doing with it. And in the meantime, if you would, please give this video a big thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll see you guys on the next video.